Good evening, everyone. In the previous session, we discussed about Docker commands, Docker architecture, Docker terminology, how to create a Docker file, basic Docker file I have created, but we don't know what are these commands. We just taken sample Docker file, how to build Docker image from the Docker file, and how to tag that image, and how to run that image that we discussed in the previous session. Okay. Now today, the most important concept in the Docker is Docker file. Okay, let's try to understand what is a Docker file, how to write this Docker file. What is the Docker file and how to write this Docker file? Let's understand, right? Docker file contains instructions to create Docker image. So what is a Docker file? Docker file contains Docker file contains instructions to build a Docker image. Docker file contains instructions to build a Docker image. In Docker file, we will use DSL. DSL. DSL nothing but domain specific language keywords. Domain specific language keywords. Docker file contains DSL keywords. Those are called as instructions to build a Docker image. So here Docker will process Docker file instructions from top to bottom. Docker software, Docker engine will process Docker file instructions from top to bottom. Here in the last session, we created one Docker file. I kept some instructions in the Docker file. These are DSL keywords, domain specific language keywords. So first we are going to create a Docker file for our application. From the Docker file, we are going to build the image. That image we can tag, that image we can push, that image we can run, right? Now, so the base thing, the first, if you want to Dockerize any application, then Docker file is mandatory for that. If you want to Dockerize a Python application, or if you want to Dockerize Node.js application, if you want to Dockerize .NET, anything. So we are going to use Docker file. Docker file contains instructions to build Docker image. In Docker file, we will use DSL. DSL stands for domain specific language keywords. Docker engine will process Docker file instructions from top to bottom. So what are the keywords will be available in Docker file? Below are Docker file keywords. Below are the Docker file keywords. So what keywords will be available in the Docker file? Observe carefully. From keyword will be available in the Docker file. Every Docker file will start with from keyword. Then maintainer keyword will be available. Copy keyword, add keyword, run keyword, CMD keyword, entry point keyword, env keyword, label keyword, user keyword, work directory keyword, expose keyword, volume keyword. So these are some of the DSL keywords that we are going to use in the Docker file. So if you want to Dockerize any application, we need to create a Docker file. In that Docker file, we are going to write the instructions by using these DSL keywords. These instructions are going to process from top to bottom by Docker engine. So these instructions are used to build Docker image. Based on the Docker file, Docker image will be created. That image we are going to run, then container is going to start. So if you understand these keywords purpose, then we can also write a Docker file to Dockerize any application. Can you guys read the keywords once? All of you just remember the keyword names. Now I'm going to demonstrate on what is the purpose of these keywords? Just remember these keywords. I'm going to tell you what is the purpose of these keywords. From keyword, maintainer keyword, copy keyword, add keyword, run keyword, CMD, entry point, env, label, user, work directory, expose, volume. I'm repeating once again. Docker file contains DSL keywords, domain specific language keywords. These are instructions which we are giving to Docker software to create the image. Image is a nothing but image is a package which contains our application, required softwares and configurations to run our application. Now, what are these images? Let's understand the images one by one. Let's understand these images one by one. First one is from image. First one is from image. In the image in the Docker file, from keyword we are going to write first in the Docker file. From keyword indicates base image. On top of it, we can create our own image. So it indicates base image to run our application. From is going to represent the base image to run our application. Okay, on top of base image, we will create our own image. So from keyword represents a base image which is used to run our application. On top of this image, we are going to create our own image. Now, the syntax we are going to specify like this: from whatever the image you want, that image name we are going to specify. So which image you need to run your application, that we are going to specify by using from. From represents the base image to run our application. On top of base image, we will create our own image of our application. We'll create our own image. Syntax: from image name. Let's take an example. I want to run my Java application. So this is my Java application. Okay. For this application, I want to execute this application. In order to execute this application, I need Tomcat. So what I'm going to specify: from Tomcat. From Tomcat. Tomcat is one image. So I'm going to download the Tomcat software in order to run my application from Tomcat. For example, I want to run my application in Ubuntu, Linux OS machine. Then I will specify from Ubuntu. Or else I want database MySQL for my application, from MySQL. I want Java for my application, from Java. So these are base images which we are going to use to run our application. On top of the base images, we are going to create our own images. So in order to run your application, what is the base image you need? Suppose I want to run my Java application in the Linux machine. I want to run my Java application on the Linux machine. So I need to take a Linux image. Ubuntu is one of the Linux flavor. I'm going to specify Ubuntu. I want to run my application by using MySQL database. So from MySQL is one official image. Ubuntu is one official image. I want Java software to run my application, from Java. So these are the base images we need in our application. So to create our own image, we need some base images. So base images we are going to configure by using from keyword. We can configure more than one base image also. We can configure more than one base image also. Those base images we are going to configure in the new line. Every base image should be configured in the new line. We can have more than one base image also, right? From keyword indicates base image to run our application. On top of base image, we will create our own image. Syntax. Let us take an example for the from. Let us take an example for the from. I want to run my application by using Java. So I'm going to specify from Java colon JDK 1.8.0. I want Java JDK 1.8 version. So for that, I'm going to specify from Java JDK 8. I want to take a Tomcat server 5 my application. I'm going to specify Tomcat colon 9.2. I want the Tomcat software 9.2 tag. 9.2 is the version. Version is called as a tag in the Docker. I want MySQL for my machine. For my application, I need MySQL. So like this, we are going to specify base images by using from keyword. From is the very first keyword that we are going to write in the Docker file. From keyword represents what is the base image you need. So to run my Java application, I need a Tomcat. So Tomcat is a image already available in the Docker. I want to download the Tomcat server to run my application. I want to run my application by using Ubuntu operating system. Ubuntu image already available in the Docker. I want to download the Ubuntu image. Like that, we are going to configure base images which are required to create our own image. Image nothing but a template which contains application code, required softwares. Are you clear with this from keyword now? Are you clear with the from keyword now? In the Docker file, are you clear with the from keyword now? From keyword. Okay. Yeah, if you don't give the version, it is going to download latest version. If you don't give the version for this image, base image, it is going to take the latest version. If you want to download a particular version, then you can specify that version. Version is called as a tag here. Next one, next keyword is maintainer. Next keyword is maintainer. Maintainer is nothing but who is author of this, who is author of this Docker file. It is very simple. It represents who is the author of the Docker file. Which developer is writing this Docker file, or which DevOps engineer is writing this Docker file. It represents who is author of Docker file. Just very simple. We are going to write this as maintainer. So I'm going to specify maintainer as Ashok and my email ID ashokitschool@gmail.com, like this. It is just a maintainer. Okay, who is the author of this? Are you clear with the from keyword and the maintainer keyword? From keyword indicates the base image which is required to run to create our own image. Maintainer represents, so when somebody look at the Docker file, they should understand who created this Docker file. So Docker file author name we will configure by using maintainer. Good. Next one is copy. Copy keyword. The name itself, it is used to copy the files. It is used to copy files or folders to image while creating. It is used to copy files or folders to image while creating the image. It is used to copy files or folders to image while creating. Mail is not mandatory, guys. I just given that. It is optional. You can just specify the name, that is sufficient. Giving the mail ID is not mandatory. It is optional. So in the companies generally, instead of giving the name, people will give the employee ID. People will give the employee ID in the company who is the maintainer of this Docker file. Mail ID is optional. You can just give the name also. Next, copy. Copy keyword. It is used to copy the files or folders to image while creating image. It is used to copy the files or folders to image while creating. For example, my application code is available. I want to copy my application code to the image. So then we need to use copy keyword. Copy. We are going to specify what is the source and what is the destination. What is the source and what is the destination? For example, I want to run the Java application. How you will run the Java applications? Can you tell me how you will run the Java application? Java applications will be executed as a war file, right? Where we need to deploy the war file? Are we executing the war file? Tomcat server will execute the war file. Tomcat server will execute the war file. So whenever you do the Maven package, where the war file will be created? When we do project packaging, where the war file will be created? In the target folder. But where we need to deploy that war file? In the web apps folder. So you need to copy the war file from target folder to web apps folder. So for that, we can use copy. What is the purpose of the copy? Copy is used to copy the files and folders from one location to another location. While creating the image, we are going to give like this: copy target maven web app dot war to source. Source is target folder. Copy target maven web app war file to destination. Destination is /user /local /tomcat /web apps /maven web app dot war. So my Tomcat server is coming inside the image only. My Java application should be available inside the image. Application code, application softwares, everything will be packaged as an image. So whenever we are creating a Docker image, we need to copy the files from source location to destination location. For that, we are going to use copy command. For that, we are going to use copy command. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? What is the from keyword? What is the maintainer keyword? And what is the copy keyword in the Docker files? From keyword is used to specify base image to run our application, to create our image. To create our own image, we are using some base images. Base images will specify by using from. Then next one, maintainer. Maintainer represents who is the author of the Docker file. Copy command, it is used to copy files or folders to image while creating an image. While creating an image, we are going to use files and we are going to copy the files and folders from source location to destination location. So this is the example. Copy war file available in the target location and war file we are copying to the web apps folder. Copying war file from target directory to Tomcat web apps directory. Copying war file from target directory to Tomcat web apps directory. For that, we are going to use copy. Next one, there is a add command available. Add keyword is available. Add is also used to copy the files from source to destination. It is also used for copy files to image. Okay. It is also add is also used to copy files to image while creating an image. Copy is also doing the copy files. Add is also used to do the copy files to the image. Why two keywords available for the same purpose? What is the difference between the copy and add? That is the common question. Copy is used to copy the files from source to destination. So that files can be copied from source to destination while creating the image. Add command also is used to copy the files to image while creating an image. Then what is the difference between copy and add? What is the difference between copy and add? Add command can download the files from HTTP location. Add keyword or command, I can say. Add keyword can download files from remote location. Add command can download the file from remote location, HTTP. Okay. If we are downloading a tar file, it will extract the tar file automatically. Okay. If we download add file, add keyword will extract a tar file while copying to image. These are additional benefits we have when you go for add keyword. Copy means just as it is going to copy the data from one location to another location. My source is a URL. My destination is a location. I want to download one file from the internet and I want to keep in the image. So copy cannot download the files. Add command can download the files. Okay, that is the difference, guys. Syntax. So syntactically, we are going to specify add source and destination. Okay, we are going to specify add URL to download, URL to download, URL to download, and we can specify destination. So this feature is available in the copy. This feature available only in the add. If your file is available from in one location, you can copy that file to destination location. But my file is not available in my machine. My file is not available in the project. I want to download the file from the internet by using a URL. Okay. For this, we are going to use add command. And another benefit, when we download tar file, add keyword will extract a tar file while copying to image. For zip file, we have to extract explicitly. For tar file, it is going to extract. Zip files, we have to extract manually. Zip files, we have to extract manually. This add command will extract only tar files. It is going to extract only tar files. So are you able to understand the purpose of copy command and add command? Are you able to understand the purpose of a copy command and add command? Come on, guys. Yes. Syntax. Difference also you understood. What is the difference between copy command and add command? What is the difference between copy and add? You know the difference, right? Copy is just from source to destination. Add command can download from the URL and it can paste it. Okay. Next one, run keyword. Next one is run keyword. Run keyword is available. It is used to execute commands on top of base image. What is the purpose of run keyword in the Docker file? It is used to execute commands on top of base image. Run command instructions will execute while creating the image. Run command instructions will execute while creating an image. So whatever the instructions we are going to specify by using run command, those instructions will get executed on top of the base image, and these instructions will execute while creating the image. If you want to execute some commands while creating the image, like I want to create one directory or I want to install some software, such kind of things we can do by using this run command. Okay, so example we can do for the run mkdir workspace. I want to create one workspace directory when image is creating, or I want to install some software. Run yum install java yum install git. While creating that image, I want to install git so that I can download the latest code from the git repository. I'm going to use Ubuntu OS. In the Ubuntu OS, I want to install the git. So for that, I need to run a command. So here for my Java project, I want to run based on Ubuntu OS. Ubuntu is my base image. So for my application, Ubuntu OS is going to start. In that Ubuntu OS, Git will not be available. I want to install the Git software when the image is creating. So if you want to execute any instruction while the image is creating, then you can specify that by using run command. You can specify that by using run command. Are you clear? Are you clear? So what is the purpose of run command? Guys, what is the purpose of run command? Respond. What is the purpose of run command? Run command is used to execute the instructions on the base image while creating the image. We want to execute some commands. I want to install some softwares. I want to execute some commands. I want to create some directories. I want to create some directories. For that, we are going to use this run command. Okay. Now, there is another keyword called CMD. It is also used to execute commands. By using CMD, CMD is also used to execute the commands. CMD is also used to execute commands. CMD is also used to execute commands. CMD instructions will execute while creating the container. Image creation is one step. Container creation is another step. If you want to execute some instructions while creating the image, then you can go for run. Whenever the image is created, we are going to run the image. Whenever you run the image, container will be created. Container means the application, the process, right? So CMD instructions will execute while creating a container. Understand the difference between run and CMD? Understand the difference between run and CMD? So while creating the container, for example, I am taking a Docker file, guys. Assume this. I'm taking a Docker file. My Docker file contains set of instructions to create the image. From this Docker file, we are going to build Docker image. We are going to build Docker image. Okay. Whenever you build the Docker image, we are going to run that image. Whenever we run the Docker image, then Docker container will be created. Docker container will be created. Okay. So this is called as build step. This is called as build step. And this is called as run step. This is called as run step. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you clear with my application? Are you clear with my diagram? Docker file is used to build a Docker image. When you run the Docker image, Docker container is going to start. For example, whenever I am creating a Docker image, download Git. I want to download the Git software. When I need to download the Git while creating the image, because I want to download the code from the repository. So to download the code from the repository, I need Git software, because here I'm specifying from as Ubuntu. From as Ubuntu. So what is the purpose of the from I am specifying? I want to run my application in the Ubuntu OS. I want to run my application in the Ubuntu. So it is going to create a Ubuntu machine. In the Ubuntu machine, I want to download my code from the Git repository. To download the code from the Git repository, I need to install the Git software. So to install the Git software, I need to execute a command. So by using a run instruction, can I execute this? Because Git should be downloaded while creating the image. Once image is created, I want to run. Start the Tomcat server. Start Tomcat server. So when the Tomcat server should be started? Tomcat server should be started while creating the image. Tomcat server should be started while creating the container. When you need to download the code, when you need to start the server, can you guys tell me? When you need to download the code, when you need to start the server, code should be downloaded when the image is creating. Server should be started when the container is creating. So download Git. This I can download Git, install Git software. I will specify this as a run instruction. Start the Tomcat server, I will specify as a CMD instruction. Run means while creating image. While creating image. CMD means while creating a container. You understand the difference when to go for run, when to go for CMD? When to go for run, when to go for CMD? Right. Run instructions will execute while creating the image. CMD instruction when container is creating, not after image. After image, you may create a container, you may not create a container, right? If image is available, I will just store my image. I may run the image, I may not run the image. If I run the image, then container will create. While container is creating, my CMD instruction will execute. So both are used to execute the instructions. Run is used to execute the instruction. CMD is also used to execute the instruction. Run command instruction will execute while creating the image. CMD command instruction will execute while creating the container. Container creation nothing but application execution. Container creation means application execution. ठीक है? Are you guys clear with my point? CMD means while creating container. Run means while creating a image. Got it? Next one. Example. Example, what I can give? CMD sudo start Tomcat. Sudo start Tomcat like this. I can give a CMD that is going to execute while creating my container. Okay. We can write, can we write multiple run instructions? Can we write multiple run instructions? We can write multiple run instructions. We can write multiple run instructions. They will execute in the order top to bottom. They will execute in the order. In which order they are going to execute? From top to bottom. Run instructions are going to execute in the order from top to bottom. CMD is also used to execute the commands. CMD instructions will execute while creating the container. This is the example I'm taking for the CMD. Okay, let's go for CMD instructions. We can write multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file technically. We can write multiple CMD instructions in Docker file. We can write multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file, but Docker will process only last CMD instruction. If you write a multiple CMD instructions also, you can write it. Technically, it is possible. Technically, it is possible. But is Docker is going to execute all the CMD instructions? Docker will not execute all the CMD instructions. In the previous example, last session, I have written 3 CMD instructions or 2 CMD instructions. Is it executed all the CMD instructions, or it printed only last instruction? It printed only last instruction. What is the reason? Technically, you can write multiple CMD instructions, but Docker will execute only last one while creating the container. Run instructions will execute while creating the image from top to bottom, but the CMD instruction will execute only last one. Technically, you can write multiple, but a Docker will process only last CMD instruction. Are you guys getting the clarity? Guys, I'm trying my best to explain you Docker file syntaxes, how to write the Docker file. You should know how to write the Docker files for the applications. If you don't know these syntaxes, can you write a Docker file? If you don't know these syntaxes, can you write a Docker file? Can you understand the Docker file which is created? So these syntaxes are very important. Okay. There is no use of writing multiple CMD instructions. There is no use of writing. There is no use of writing. There is no use of writing multiple CMD instructions in Docker file, because Docker will process only last one. Okay. CMD is also used to execute the commands. When we are running the Docker container, we want to start a Tomcat server. For that, we can use a CMD. We can have more than one CMD instruction in a Docker file. Docker will process or executes only last CMD instruction. There is no use of writing multiple. Okay. Are you guys clear with my point? Now, can we take with this? I have explained some commands. With this, I will take one Docker file which we have created previously. Can we try to understand now? Can we try to understand now? What is the Docker file I have taken? Yes, so let's take a Docker file which I have created. Right? I'm going to take as first in my Docker file, I'm going to write one Docker sample Docker file, guys, not for any application, a dummy Docker file I'm writing from Ubuntu. What is the meaning of from Ubuntu? What is the meaning of from Ubuntu in my Docker file? What is the meaning of that? A sample Docker file I'm going to write with the syntaxes we have learnt as of now. From Ubuntu, it is going to download latest Ubuntu OS image. It is going to download latest Ubuntu OS image. Okay. Then I'm going to write run. I'm going to write maintainer. I will specify it as a Ashok IT. That's it. What is the purpose of a maintainer? Owner of the Docker file. Owner of the Docker file. Okay. Now I'm going to specify run. I'm going to specify run echo run 1. Run 1. So when it is going to execute, when this echo command will execute, echo is used to just print the content. Echo is used to just print the content. Run echo. Right now, I'm going to specify uppercase, guys. Sorry, these keywords are uppercase keywords. Run echo 1. I will specify run echo run 2. run 1 and run 2, run 1 and run 2. Okay, then I will specify cmd. Cmd is also used to execute a command instruction, right? cmd 1, cmd 1. Okay, now I am going to specify cmd echo, cmd2, cmd2. Now I'm going to specify run echo, of run 3, run 3. Is it clear? Is it clear now? Can we create this Docker file? Can we create this Docker file? From this Docker file, can we build a Docker image? From the Docker image, can we run the Docker container? Yes or no? Let's go to AWS, start our Docker server instance, instance state start. So I'm starting my Docker server in which machine my Docker software got installed. I'm going to take this. I'm just starting this. Go to MobiXterm. Session SSH, public IP, copy the public IP, remote host, username is EC2 user, settings, private key, Linux PEM file, okay. Yes, let us start the Docker. Okay, so how to start the Docker? Is Docker running in our machine? Debug mode, cannot connect to the Docker daemon. Docker is running or Docker is not running? Not running. How to run the Docker? Can you tell me the command to run the Docker server? Docker IO, Docker starter, Docker login, sudo service docker start, sudo service docker start. I have started my Docker. Let me go for Docker info. Now can you see Docker started? Yes, Docker server started. It is running. Right, clear. Okay, ls-l, there is a Docker file available. Let me remove it. rm Docker file. I have removed it. ls-l. Currently, nothing is available. Let's create a Docker file. vi Docker file. File name can be anything, guys. You can change the file name also. It's not mandatory that you need to use this name. It is the default name that we are using. We can customize that file name also. I will show you how to customize as well. vi Docker file. Insert mode. Let me take my Docker file instructions. From Ubuntu, maintainer Ashok IT, run echo run 1, run echo run 2, cmd echo cmd1, cmd echo cmd2, run echo run 3. Okay, 3 run commands are available, 3 run instructions available, 2 cmd instructions are available. 1 from instruction, 1 maintainer, 3 run instructions, 2 cmd instructions are available. Save it. Okay, cat Docker file. Can you see the content of the Docker? I'm able to see the content of the Docker. Right. So once the Docker file is available, what you need to do? If you have a Docker file, then what you need to do with the Docker file? We need to create a Docker image. How to create the Docker image? How to create a Docker image? Before creating the Docker image, can you see Docker images? Okay, there are so many images are already available. There are so many images are already available. Ubuntu image available, MySQL image available, Hello World image available, Spring Boot REST API image available, my first image available, my first image available. Like this, there are so many images are already available. Can we create one new image with this Docker file now? Can I create one new image with this Docker file now? Yes. Docker build -t image name. I'm giving as image1. There is no image with this name. Image1 space dot. Image1 with a space dot. Docker build -t image name as image1 space dot. Enter. Oh, can you see here? Step 1 from Ubuntu. Step 2 maintainer. Right? Step 3 run echo run 1. Can you see run 1 echo is executed, run 1 is printed? Can you see run 1 is printed? And can you see run 2 is printed? Can you see run 3 is printed? That means 3 run instructions executed or 3 run instructions not executed. This executed. Echo means print the content. Thus run 1 is printed. Run 1 is printed. Run 2 is also printed. Run 2 is also printed. Then CMD echo. Are we getting the output of the CMD? For run 1, output is printed. For run 2, output is printed. For run 3, output is printed. For CMD 1, output printed or output is not printed? Output is printed or output is not printed? Guys, see, I have created a Docker image. I have created a Docker image. Run 1 is printed, echo, this command executed, output got to the terminal. Run echo run 2 output also we got. Run 3 echo run 3, that output also printed. But see step 5 step 6. Can you see step 5 step 6? CMD1 CMD2 statements, echo statements executed or not executed? Echo statement for CMD1 CMD2 executed or not executed? Not executed. Run command is used, run is used to execute the instruction. CMD also is used to execute the instruction. Why we are able to see the output of the run instruction and why we are not able to see the output of the CMD instruction? Can you tell me? Why we are able to see the instructions of the run and why we are not able to see the output of the CMD? Run will be executed while building the image. CMD will be executed while creating the container. Now, I created the image or I ran the image. What is the step I have done now? Did I created the image or I have executed the image? I have just created the image. Okay. So that's why only run statement is executed. CMD statement is not executed. Go for a Docker images. Can you see image 1 is created just 3 minutes ago? Can you see image 1 is created just 3 minutes ago? Come on, guys. Image 1 is executed just 3 minutes ago. Image 1 is created just 3 minutes ago. So once the image is created, can we run the image? Once the image is created, can we run the image? When you run the image, what will happen? Container will be created. How to run the image? Docker run image name. Docker run image name. What is the image name? Image1. Now can you see CMD1, CMD2 both are printing, only CMD2 is printing. CMD1, CMD2 both are printing, or only CMD is printing? Come on. CMD2 is printing. But if you cat the Docker file, how many CMD instructions I have given? How many CMD instructions I have given? 2. First one is printing and last one is printing. First one is printing, last one is printing. Only last one is printing. So is there any use of writing multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file? Is there any use of writing multiple instructions in the Docker file? No. There is no use of giving multiple instructions to the Docker file. So is my statement correct now? There is no use of writing multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file. We can write multiple CMD instructions technically, but a Docker will process only last CMD instruction. CMD is also used to execute the commands. CMD instructions will execute while creating the container. Run commands instructions will execute while creating the image. So what is the difference between run and CMD? Are you clear now? Practically, are you able to understand when the run instructions are executing, when the CMD instructions are getting executed? Perfect. Let's do one thing. I want to run my image once again. Docker run image1. This time I'm giving date. Guys, can you see I am giving a runtime argument called date. When I give runtime argument called date, is it printing the CMD or it is printing the date? When I supply date as a argument for the image, is it printing the CMD or it is not printing the CMD? Only date is printing. That means we can override CMD instruction in the runtime. Are you guys getting my point? So if you run Docker run image1, then it is printing what? Run command is used to create the container. When the container is created, run instruction will be executed. How many run instructions available? 2 run instructions available. Is it executing both run instructions or it is executing only latest one? Last one it is executing. Last one is executing. Sometimes I want to override this. Whatever the run instruction, CMD instruction is available, can I override this instruction? Yes, we can override the instruction by using run argument. Who am I? I'm passing who am I? Root. Why it is printing root? Why not EC2 user? Why it is printing root? Why not EC2 user? Container is executing in the our OS or container is executing in the Ubuntu OS? Ubuntu. So that's why we are getting root user. Okay. So Docker run image1 of date. So when I pass this data, it is a command line argument. It is overriding last CMD instruction also. CMD instructions we can override by passing runtime command. Okay, so this is my sample Docker file. So how to build image? Build image using above Docker file. What is the command to build the image? Docker build -t image1 space dot. Run this image. Run image. So what is the command to run the image? Docker run image 1. Docker run image 1. Note CMD instruction we can override. We can override using runtime command. Using runtime command like this. Docker run image1 date. So it is going to print, it will print only date. It will print only data. CMD will not execute. That means we are overriding CMD instruction. Are you clear with run and CMD? Run will execute while creating the image. CMD will execute while creating container. There is a possibility to override the CMD also by using run. Shall I move on to the next keyword? Shall I move on to the next keyword? Or people are asking, sir, how to change the Docker file name? How to change the Docker file name? Okay. How to change the Docker file name? So currently, how many Docker files are available? There is one Docker file available. What is the name? Docker file. Can I rename this? Can I rename this? Yes. How? MV Docker file to Docker file _1 ls-l. Can you see the file name is renamed? Can you see the file name is renamed? Clear? Now I want to create an image with this file. What we will do? Docker build -f Docker file 1 space -t space image2 space dot. So if you change the file name of the Docker file, you need to give -f that file name. That file can be available in any location. You need to give the path of that file by using -f option. Understood? How to change the Docker file name? I'm changing the Docker file name. We can change Docker file name. So how I am doing that? MV Docker file to Docker file _1 _1, right? Create Docker image using Docker file _1. How can we do that? $docker build -f Docker file _1 -t represents image name image2 dot. So here -f it is a file name, -t it is a image name. So image name I am giving as image2. Okay, my image got created. So let us see Docker images. Can you see image2 created? Can you see image2 created? Are you guys able to understand my point? Image2 created? Yes. So can we change the Docker file names? Can we change the Docker file name? Can we change the Docker file name? Yes. So if you change the Docker file name, you need to specify that file name by using -f option. -f represents the file name, -t represents image name. All right. Next one, there is another keyword called entry point. There is another keyword called entry point. Entry point is also used to execute the instructions while creating a container. Entry point instructions will execute while creating the container. Entry point instructions will execute while creating container. Okay. CMD instructions also will execute while creating a container, but CMD instructions we can override, whereas entry point instructions we cannot override. That is the difference. CMD instructions we can override, whereas entry point instructions we cannot override. Entry point instructions we cannot override. Example, I can specify entry point like this. I can specify entry point like this. Execute echo command. Execute echo command. Print this statement. Welcome to Ashok IT. Like this. I can create a Docker file with the run instructions, with the CMD instructions, with the entry point instructions. Run instructions will execute while creating the container. While creating the image. Run instructions will execute while creating the image. CMD instructions will execute while creating the container. CMD instructions we can override in the runtime. Whereas entry point instructions we cannot override. Entry point instructions also will execute while creating the container only. Let me go to my Docker file. Let me edit it. So what is the Docker file name we have? vi docker1 edit. Come down here. Let me add entry point. Let me add entry point. I want to execute echo print welcome to Ashok IT. Print welcome to Ashok IT. That's it. I created one entry point. I have run, I have CMD, I have entry point. Clear. Now build a image. Docker build. File name got changed na? -f docker file 1 -t image 3 space dot. I have created that. Now you see here Docker image got created. Docker image got created. Now check that Docker images. Check the Docker images. Image 3 got created. Image 3 got created. So how to run this? Docker run image 3. Now can you see welcome to Ashok IT is printed? Can you see welcome to Ashok IT is printed? So entry point is getting executed. Entry point is getting executed. So what is the difference between CMD instruction and entry point instruction? What is the difference between CMD instruction and entry point instruction? CMD instructions we can override. Entry point instructions we cannot override. Both will execute while creating the container only. Both will be executed while creating the container only. Okay. Next one, work dir. Work dir. Using this, we can set working directory for a image or container. It is used to set working directory for an image or container. So where we want to perform our operations. So in which directory we are launching a Ubuntu machine. In the Ubuntu machine where we want to execute our project, where we want to execute our commands, we can specify like this. Okay. After downloading Ubuntu, after downloading Java, after downloading Tomcat, I want to execute a Tomcat server. So where is the Tomcat server to start? What is the location to start that file? I want to execute some commands. So where we need to execute the commands. So I want to change the directory while creating a image or while creating a container. I want to change the location of the directory. For that, we can go for work dir. Okay, so here we can specify it as work dir directory path. Work dir directory path. Whatever the instructions we write in the Docker file, whatever the instructions we will write after work dir, those instructions will be processed in the given working directory. The instructions, the Docker instructions which are available after work dir, the Docker file instructions, the Docker file instructions which are available after work dir, after work dir, those instructions will be processed from given working directory. So whatever the commands we have given to execute after work dir, those commands will be executed from the given working directory path. That is for work dir. Work dir is just changing the location, changing the directory. So I want to execute these commands from this particular directory. For example, I want to execute Tomcat server startup.sh. Where is the startup.sh file available? I should go to that working directory. It will be available in the Tomcat bin directory. So I want to execute Tomcat startup.sh. Where is that Tomcat startup.sh file available? Tomcat startup.sh file available in the Tomcat bin directory. So I want to go to that bin directory. I want to change to bin directory. For that, we will use work dir keyword. Okay. Next one, env. Env. It is used to set environment variables. Env is used to set environment variables. Env is used to set the environment variables. So for example, I want to set a path for Java. I want to set a path for Maven. Okay. So like this, we can set the environment variables by using env key value. We can set env. Okay. Key values we can set for that. Key value we can set for that environment variable. I want to set path for Java. I want to set path for Maven. So environment variables setting can be done by using env keyword in the Docker file. Next one, label keyword is available. There is a keyword called label. It is used to just assign the alias name for our image. Label. Labels are key value pair which we can add to image. It is like a metadata for our image. Label, it is used to add metadata for our image. Label will represent data in the form of key value pair. Labels will represent data in key value pair. Label will represent data in key value pair. It is used to add metadata for our image. For example, from which branch we are downloading the code. Okay, so I'm going to specify like this: label branch name I will set as a release. From the release branch name we are taking the code. Suppose I have done git clone here. I'm doing the git cloning. That cloning we are doing from which branch? I want to give some metadata. So when somebody look at my image, they should understand what I'm doing. So like this, some metadata I can provide for that by using this. Okay, right. So we are going to use labels. Next one, arg is available. Arg. It is used to avoid hard-coded values in the Docker file. It is used to avoid hard-coded values in Docker file. It is used to avoid hard code values in the Docker file. For example, I want to do the git cloning. Okay, so instead of specifying the branch name hard coded value, I will specify arg branch is equal to develop. arg branch is equal to develop. Then label branch $of branch. To avoid hard-coded values in the Docker file, we are going to use this. Okay. We can pass arguments in the runtime in the Docker file. For example, I want to configure my database usernames and passwords. So it's not recommended to configure the usernames and passwords, right? We need to pass them as a runtime value. Take a secret values. So we can pass argument values in the runtime. We can pass argument values in runtime. Okay. While building the image, we can pass them in the runtime. How? Docker build -t image1 --build -arg arg branch is equal to feature. So like this. So in my application, in my Docker file, instead of hard coding the branch name, I can declare a arg for that. I can supply the value to the arg in the runtime as a build arg. So arg is used to avoid hard coded values in the Docker. Next one, user. It is used to set the username. It is used, we can set an user for an image or container. For example, I want to create a Docker file for Jenkins. So Jenkins should be started by using Jenkins user. Jenkins should be started by using Jenkins user. Now I can set that. We can set a username for a image or container. We can set a user for an image or container. Some commands I want to execute with a particular user. For that we can specify username. After the user instructions, after this user, all the remaining instructions will be executed with the given user permission. After user instruction, remaining instructions will be processed. Remaining instructions will be processed with a given user details, with given user. Arg and user. Last one, expose. Last one is expose. Expose indicates on which port number our container is running. It represents on which port number our container is running. Our container is listening, we can say. It is like a documentation to understand on which port number. It is just like a documentation to understand. It is just like a documentation to understand container running port number. Container running port number. Got it? What is the purpose of expose? What is the purpose of expose? Expose keyword is used to specify on which port number your container is running. Docker file will not do anything with this. Docker file will not do anything with this. It is just a metadata. We are going to tell that our container is running on this port number 8080, or it is running on the port number 9000, something like that. Container running port number we will specify in the Docker file so that people can understand easily. Expose is used to specify on which port number our Docker container is running. User is used to specify some commands I want to execute with this user permission. So we can set the user for that. Arg is used to avoid the hard-coded values in the Docker file. We can set the arg name in the runtime. Label is something like a key value for metadata purpose. Environment is used to set the environment variables like path setting we can do. Work directory to change the location while executing the commands. Okay. Entry point. Entry point instructions will execute while creating the container. Entry points will execute. Suppose I want to run my application. My application, Spring Boot application is available as a jar file, right? So my application is executing as a jar. I want to run the jar file. While creating the container, I want to run my jar. That jar execution I will specify as an entry point, right? Next one, CMD. CMD is used to execute the instruction while creating the container. Entry point also is used to execute the instruction while creating the container. CMD instructions we can override, whereas entry point instructions we cannot override. Run command is used to execute the instructions while building the image. Run instructions will execute while building the image. CMD instructions while creating the container. CMD we can override, whereas entry point we cannot override. CMD entry point both will execute while creating the containers. Copy and add. Both are used to copy the files to image. Copy can just deal with the source and destination. Add can deal with URL and destination also. Maintainer, just tell the author of the Docker file who is maintaining this Docker file. From, it is used to indicate the base image to run our application. It is used to run the base image of our application. Are you clear with Docker file syntaxes now? Are you clear with the Docker file syntaxes now? Come on, guys. Yes. You understood now? Yeah. There is one more keyword. We can say that volume in the Docker file. There is a one more keyword called volume. It is used for storage purpose. Volume. Docker volume concept is available, guys. We will talk about the Docker volumes. It is used for data storage, data mounting. It is used for data storage. So basically, when you run the image, container will start. Container will generate some data. So that data will be generated in the container. When you kill the container, you will lose your data. You will lose your data. Okay, you will lose your data. If you want to store the data permanently, then we can go for volume concept. Are you clear? Very good. Very good. Fine, guys. So with this, we understood what is the Docker file. So what is the Docker file? You got the clarity? What is the Docker file? You got the clarity, guys? Docker file contains instructions to build a Docker image. In Docker file, we will use DSL keywords. Docker engine will process Docker file instructions from top to bottom. Below are the Docker file keywords and that keyword's purpose. Okay, value. From maintainer, copy, add, run, CMD, then entry point, work dir, env, label, arg, user, expose, value. Are you clear with this? Are you clear with this? Okay. Now I want to Dockerize. I want to Dockerize. One Python application and one Java application. Can we Dockerize one Python application and one Java application now? Can we Dockerize that? Can we Dockerize one Python application? Can we Dockerize one Python application? So do you need to develop the code for the Python, or you just need to create the Docker file for that? Do you need to develop the code for that, or you just need to Dockerize that? We just need to create a Docker file for that. Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you this. Let me go to my GitHub. I will show you Dockerizing for two applications today. Let's wait. One is Python application. Another one is Java application. Let me go to my repositories. My repository. Yeah. Can you see the example? Python Flask Docker application, Java web application, Docker application. This is Java web application is developed by using Spring Web MVC, guys. It is developed by using Spring Web MVC. There is one more Spring Boot Docker application is also available. If I open Spring Boot Docker application, Docker file, can you understand that now? Can you understand this Docker file now? Can you understand this Docker file? What are the commands are there in the Docker file? Can you understand this Docker file now? From, what is the meaning of the from? From Java 8 JDK Alpine. What is the meaning of that? I want Java as a base image to run my application. I want the Java as a base image to run my application. Copy. What is the meaning of a copy? What is the meaning of a copy? Copy the jar file from the application target folder to /user/app directory. Copy the jar file from the target location to /user/app. Okay, let us see this. This is Spring Boot application Dockerization. Spring Boot application Dockerization from Java 8 JDK Alpine. So can I say this is my base image? Can I say this is my base image? Come on, guys. This is my base image from Java 8 JDK Alpine. So it is going to take the Java as a base image to run my application. This is my Spring Boot application. Copy dot target / Spring Boot Docker app dot jar to /user/app. Can I say this is source directory and this is destination directory? Where is this destination? This destination directory will be available in the base image which we are getting. This destination will be available in the base image which we are getting. Then my jar file is copied to this location. Now I want to execute this jar file. I want to execute this jar file. Okay, so what should be my work directory now? I should go to this location. How to change the location? Work dir. Work dir. Are you getting my point? Work dir. Now run instruction. Run instruction. When the run instruction will execute? When the run instruction will execute? While building the image, run instruction will execute. What is entry point? When the entry point will execute? What is entry point? I'm telling Java -jar. This is jar file name. While creating the image, this should be executed. While creating the container, entry point should be executed. What is entry point execution? Run the jar file by using Java. Run the jar file by using Java command. So are you able to understand this Docker file which is used to Dockerize a Spring Boot application? From copy work dir run entry point. From Java base image, copy this work dir, go to this work dir, then run this instruction. Run this instruction while building the image. Run this instruction while creating the container. While creating the container. Okay. My Spring Boot application, src, main, resources, properties file, server port number is available. No need to give this port number. Usko hata do. Save changes. Default port number will come as 8080 for the Tomcat. Okay. Right, guys. So let's go to this application. What is the REST controller I have given? Let me check the URL pattern of the REST controller. REST is available. Welcome REST controller. What is the URL pattern? I have given /welcome/name. Okay, good. Docker app. Can I clone this project? Can I clone this project? Right? I can clone this project here. Docker images. There are so many images are available. How to remove image? Docker RMI. Docker RMI image 3. Docker RMI image 3. Container using its reference ID image. Docker PS. It is having some reference. Docker images. Okay, fine. So let me see ls Dockerfile 1. Let me make one directory, mkdir sb app, Spring Boot application, cd sb app, clear. ls, nothing is available. Can I clone this project? First, for that, sudo yum install git. I'm downloading the git software to download this project, and I need to package this application. For that, I need to install maven. Sudo yum install maven. I'm downloading maven and I'm downloading git. To download the project, to clone the project, I'm using git, and to package this project, I'm using maven. So maven is downloaded, git is downloaded in the Linux. I will just clone my Spring Boot application and I want to run my application. That's it. It's downloading. Yes, complete. Clear. So let's see git-version. Git --version. Git is downloaded. mvn-version. Yes. So git is downloaded in my Linux machine. Maven also downloaded in my Linux machine. Let's do this. ls-l. Currently nothing is available. Git clone. I'm cloning my Spring Boot application using git clone command. Yes, I have cloned. ls-l. Spring Boot Docker app is available. cd space Spring Boot Docker app. ls-l. pom.xml is available. mvn clean package. I am packaging my application so that jar or var, basically the Spring Boot application will be packaged as a jar. A jar file will be created. It's downloading the dependencies which are required to build and package our Spring Boot application. Not only for Java, guys, we can use it for Python, Node.js, Angular applications like that. I will show you with multiple applications how to run the Docker containers for different tech stack based projects. It's downloading the Maven dependencies. We use it to see in the movies, a computer with the black screen scrolling. Yes, na? In one of the Venkatesh movie, this kind of scene is available. He will sit in the computer all night. He will keep clicking on something. Finally, project will be success. क्या डाउनलोड कर रहे हैं यार? Is my system getting hacked or what? Finally, build success. Okay, so build got success. So first time I have executed that package goal. So it downloaded all the dependencies which are required for my application. Okay. Yes. So let's clear ls-l. Can you see target folder created? cd space target ls-l. Can you see that Spring Boot Docker app jar file is created? Spring Boot Docker app jar file is created. So in which location that jar file is created? In the target location that jar file is created. Now let's come back. Let's see cat Docker file. Yeah, instead of this, let me go for vi of Docker file. Can you see the Docker file now? Can you see the Docker file now? From Java. Java is a base package, base image, basically base image. Copy the location, copy the jar file from that to user app, change the working directory, then run instruction, then entry point instruction. Run instruction will execute while creating the image. Entry point instruction will execute while creating the container. In the entry point instruction, I have given the command to run my jar file by using Java command. That's it. Okay. Now, can you tell me the commands to create Docker image for this? Can you tell me the commands to create the Docker image for this? Guys, come on. Tell me the command to create the image. People are not responding. Yeah. Let me try to create image for that. Before that, can you see Docker images? Yes, we have seen the existing Docker images. So let me create one new image, guys. Let me create one new image. So I want to delete these images first. Docker RMI forcibly, image 3 untagged, image 2, image 1, force image. Then I'm deleting my first image. My first image. Then I'm deleting Tomcat. I'm deleting MySQL. I'm deleting Ubuntu. RMI command I am using to delete the images, Docker images. So Docker hello world, and I want to delete Ashok IT first image. I want to make it clean. Yes, it is deleted. And I want to delete this Ashoka IT Spring Boot REST API image also. I want to create a fresh image now. Done, clear. Docker images. Do I have any images now? Guys, do I have any images in my system? No. How to check the existing Docker images? By using Docker images command. And let's go for a Docker PS. Docker PS is used to display Docker running containers. So in my machine currently, images are not available, containers also not available. Right. So what is my present working directory? I am in the Spring Boot Docker app. I am in the Spring Boot Docker app, ls-l. My application is available. I have done maven clean package. My application got packaged and that jar file got created in the target folder. First time it took a lot of time, but this time it is quick because all the dependencies already downloaded. So clean package success. My application available. VI Docker file also available to Dockerize my Spring Boot. So I'm telling the from Java as a base image, copy the jar file from this location to this location, change the working directory, run instruction while creating the image, entry point instruction while creating the container. While creating the container, I am telling to run the jar file. So run the jar file of Spring Boot. That means it is going to deploy. So now build the image. Before building the image, Docker images, no image available. Docker build, Docker build -t. So what is the image name I can give? Spring Boot REST API. You can give any name for the image. That's not a problem. Spring Boot REST API. SB REST app dot. This is the image name. Docker build -t image namespace dot. It is creating one image. See the steps now. Java 8. It is pulling Java from the library. First step is Java from the library. So image created successfully with a name called SB REST app. See here, step 1 from base image Java. So it downloaded, it pulled Java image from the library. The pull got completed. New image got downloaded new image for the Java. Step 2, copy this. Step 3, change the working directory. Okay. Step 4, run this. Removing intermediate container, run this. Last one, entry point. Last one, entry point. Now, once it is done, can you check Docker images? Yeah. How many images available? We created only one image, but why we are able to see the two images? Guys, we created only one image, but why we are able to see the two images here? Why we are able to see the two images here? I created only one image. I created SB REST app, but how come we got the Java? Java is the base image that we got. Java is the base image that we got. So on top of the base image, our image got created. On top of the base image, our image got created. So we mentioned Java as a base image. So Java image downloaded. Using that Java image, our project image got created. Now what is there in our project image now? Our project image contains our application code, our jar file, Java software. Everything is available in this package. So this image contains our application code and Java software, and Linux OS is also available. Docker image. Now I want to run this image. Can you tell me how to run this image? What is the command? Can you tell me what is the command we need to use to run this image now? Docker run image. I want to run this image in the detached mode. That is one thing. And another important thing is port mapping 8080:8080 space image name. I will tell you what is this port mapping. SB REST app. Docker run -d, run it in the detached mode. -p, this is container port and this is host port. Now, whenever we run a container, when this container is running, where I am doing all these operations, all these operations I am doing in the EC2 machine. Yes or no? I am doing all these things in the EC2 virtual machine. Inside the EC2 virtual machine, container is created. Inside the container, application, Spring Boot application running with the default 8080 port number. So this 8080 is the container port. I want to map this container port to my host port, my EC2 port. In my EC2, I want to bind this port number. Container is running, Spring Boot is running in the container. Container is running the Spring Boot with 8080. That container port I need to map to my host port. My host port I am giving as 8080. You can give host port as anything. Container port nothing but on which port number your application is running. That is what I told you. Expose is a documentation. It will tell you on which port number your container is running. So now in the container, Spring Boot application is running on the port number 8080. That container port we need to map to our host port. To map the container port to the host port, we are going to use a command -p. 8080 is this my host port number. This 8080 is the application port number. That is the container port number. Are you guys getting my point? What is this -p? Host port and container port. I have a EC2 machine. In the EC2 machine, I created a image and I ran the image. When I ran the image, one container is going to start. In that container, my Spring Boot application is going to start. My Spring Boot application using Tomcat server by default. Tomcat server default port number 8080. Container is running. Container running on 8080. Container port number I need to map to my EC2 host port. My EC2 host port I can give anything. I can give 9090, I can give 1000, I can give 2000, I can give 9000, whatever you want. So container port we need to map to host port. To map the container port to the host port, I am giving -p, port mapping. Whenever you are running your application, you need to do the port mapping. For that we are using -p. -d means detached mode. It will not wait. It will just run and it will close the terminal. If I don't give -d, terminal will be open. I can't execute any other command. If I run this without D, it will be waiting for that. I cannot execute any other command. If I give -d, it will execute in the detached mode. I can execute remaining commands after starting the container. Are you clear with my point? How to create an image and how to run the image now? Are you clear with my point? How to create the image? Going faster? What fast, man? Just port mapping. What fast I'm going? Somebody saying you are going fast. If I go fast, course will take 5 months, huh? Saurabh? If I go fast, course will take 5 months, huh? Fast means course will complete in 3 months. 5 months means super slow. Good. Saurabh, are you able to understand? Are you able to understand what is port mapping? Good. Port mapping. Application is running in the container. Application running with the port number 8080. That port I need to map to host port. Then only I can. Now you will access the application from the container directly, or you will access the application from the EC2 instance. EC2 instance. So we need to map the container port to host machine port. Good. For that I am using this. Now run it. Container started. Let's check the containers running. Docker PS. Can you see container started 6 seconds ago? This is the container ID. container started. What is the port? 8080. Where is this container? Container is running in the EC2. Container is running in the EC2. Container running on the port number 8080. Container port number I map it to host port. Host port is 8080. Let's go to EC2. Let's check it. In this EC2 security group, did we enable 8080? Edit the rules. 8080 not enabled. Let's enable that port we configured. Okay, save the rules. Now let's go to EC2. Let's access public IP. Let's go here. Application running on the port number 8080. That is mapped to port colon 8080/welcome/Raju. Wow. Are we able to access this application? Are we able to access this application? By using public IP with the host port 8080/welcome/Raju. If you give the name as some Suman, you will get as a Suman, welcome to Ashok IT. If you give some name as Rani, it will come welcome Rani, welcome to Ashok IT. So are we able to run a Spring Boot application by using Docker? Are we able to run the Spring Boot application by using Docker? Come on. So can you use this project? I am giving this. So can you try running this? This is the Git URL of my Docker application. This is the Git URL of my Docker application. And this is my application URL /welcome/name. So whenever you deploy this application, guys, so in the URL pattern specify /welcome/some name, whatever the name you will give, for that name it is going to generate a welcome message dynamically. David, welcome to Ashok. This is a Spring Boot REST API which I have Dockerized. This is a Spring Boot REST API which I have Dockerized. Is it working? You can clone my Git repository which I have given. So people, if you are from a Java background, you can develop your own REST API. The people who are not from the Java background, you can take my REST API. I have uploaded that to Git repository. I have uploaded that to Git repository. Okay. So container is started. How can you see the containers which are running now? Docker PS. Docker PS, I can see the container and we can see all the information layers of this container also. We can check it, all the containers that we have started here. Okay. Docker PS, sorry. Docker PS. So container is started. Can I stop the container? Docker stop container ID. Yes, I stopped my container. When I stopped my container, can you access my application? If a container is stopped, can you access my application? If container is stopped, my application cannot be accessed because my container stopped, then my application will be stopped. My application will be stopped. Understood? How to delete the container? Docker rm container ID. Container will be deleted. So container commands we will learn, guys. So first we have started one container with the real application. So we discuss about container commands also after doing the Dockerization for several other applications. Now, so with this knowledge, can you practice Docker for Python application? Here I have uploaded one Python application and normal Java application, Python Flask application Docker app, Python Flask application Docker. I have given the Docker file for that also for Python application, and Java web application is available. So for that also you can do the Dockerization. So tomorrow we will talk about how to do the Dockerization for Spring Web MVC. Today we have seen Dockerization for Spring Boot. We will see the Dockerization for Python application. We will see the Dockerization for Java. We will see the Dockerization for Node.js also tomorrow. Once these things are completed, Dockerization is completed for different applications like Node.js, Python, and normal Java applications. Then we will talk about Docker volumes, Docker Compose, Docker Network, Docker Swarm. 4 important topics are available: Docker volumes, Docker Compose, Docker Network, Docker Swarm. So with that, we can complete our Docker. Once the Docker completed, then we can learn Kubernetes. So this Docker knowledge is required to learn the Kubernetes. All right, fine. So please practice these things before coming to tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we are going to work on the Dockerization for few other technology specific based applications. I'm uploading the notes right away. So I want you people to practice this before coming to tomorrow's session. Yeah, guys, can you check it? Did you get the notes, updated notes? ये कहाँ जा रहा भाई? When I do this, it is going to 0 to DevOps. Huh? Why it is going to 0 to DevOps? It should go to 0, 1 DevOps. I think there is some bug here. I think last 2 days also same thing happened. I uploaded notes, but it went to different course. Yes, now can you see Docker notes? Oh, yeah, understood. When I'm updating the notes, by default, it is selected that DevOps one. So that's why the problem came. Now, so can you see this? Docker notes uploaded, Docker file commands, everything I have given in this notes. So you can go with this. You can go with this. I have given for Docker file, I have given for my Spring Boot application so that you can practice it before coming to tomorrow's session. Yeah, so when you click on the video, Google Drive access, it will come. The people who have the videos plan, those people can see the videos. The people who don't have the videos plan, they cannot see that. If you purchase the course with videos plan, then you will get it, otherwise you will not. Okay, if anybody has done the plan for videos and not able to access, you need to send the message to admin team in the WhatsApp. Admin team will check it. Why you don't have the access? They will give you access. All right, fine. So please send a message to admin team and they will access. Yeah. Any other questions, anybody? Please unmute your mic and you can ask your doubts. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Yeah, Muhammad, Srikanth.
Yes, please. Just one more question. I know you've explained about the difference between run and CMD.
Right.
So this run and CMD is only for Dockerfile, like Dockerfile. Is it outside of it you don't use it?
Right.
No, it's just your clarification because when you build this, when you want to run it, you run this on your Linux machine. So when you run it, you just do this Docker run.
No, I'm not getting your question, sir.
I just want to make sure that you know what are these two commands, CMD and run, you use them only for Dockerfile.
Yeah, the only for Dockerfile, that's it.
But later on, when you use this, when you wanted to run this Dockerfile, like Docker image, when you wanted to run it on your Linux machine, you use this Docker run.
Yes, we can use it. So now we have created a Docker file. With this, we are creating a Docker image. You can store the Docker image to repository. If you want to run this image on the another Linux machine, you can just download the image and you just run that image. That's it. Got
Okay,
it?
fine, thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, madam.
So here, working directory humanity user app, is that a standard or we just happen to choose that?
Yeah,
as
just
a
I have
user
given
app?
that. You can give anything. You can give anything.
Okay. So what is that run sh-c? It is a touch command in short, or what is the
Touch command.
we
Touch
ask me
command.
shall-
Touch command.
Okay. What is the -c does?
Where is that -c?
sh minus sh is, I think we're asking shell to execute, correct? And after that we
Yes,
have
yes.
minus c,
Yeah,
minus hyphen c.
right. Let me check it. What is -c?
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, next question.
Entry point, when you say entry point, we are specifying this as a comma separated, right? Java, jar.
Yeah, these are the commands. So Java is a command, jar is the argument, and jar is the file name.
Oh, okay, okay.
Java
So
space
that's
hyphen jar space file name. It is a command to execute the jar file basically.
okay. Okay. Suppose if we have to translate that into CMD, that
Yes.
says CMD Java dash
Ah.
jar.
Right. That's
Okay.
it. Okay. Fine, guys.
సార్ రియల్ టైమ్ లో మనకి డాకర్ ఫైల్ అనేది ఇప్పుడు ఇంతకు ముందు మీరు స్ప్రింగ్ బూట్ మన రిపోజిటరీ నుంచి చూపించారు కదా,
అవును సార్.
రియల్ టైమ్ లో మనకి అలాగనే మనం రన్ చేస్తామా సార్?
Same as it is. In the real time also, Docker file will be stored in your Git repository. Jenkins file will be stored
Okay.
to Git repository. Docker file will be stored to Git repository, and Docker Compose will be stored to, everything will be stored to Git repository. You just need to clone the project. You need to build the image using the Docker file, and you need to create. In some projects, developers only will create the Docker file. In some projects, DevOps people will create the Docker file.
ఓకే సార్.
Good. Fine, guys. It's already too late today. Yeah. So with this, I'm stopping for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.